Mercedes didn't have a good time last year. Their car was jumpy and didn't work like it should have. More and more problems showed up during the racing season. But in 2023, they really want to come back strong. They'll bring some big changes to fight with the best cars again. Will we see a Mercedes car win first place in the championship next year? Let's look at those changes. People are saying, and the team agrees, that the W14 will be completely different in many ways. For most of last season, the Mercedes W13 was a race car that couldn't do much. Right from the first test in Bahrain, when they showed the zero side pod design, it was clear that the Brackley team would have to lower their goals. The biggest problem with that design was that it had bad bouncing that made the car shake really hard. This stopped the team from fixing the problem that the smart people had seen on their computers to make it bounce less. They had to raise the car way higher than they wanted. This made the car lose a lot of grip from the bottom part. This weird behavior stayed for a long time on different types of racetracks. The engineers, led by Mike Elliott, kept looking for the missing speed like they couldn't see what was wrong, actually. They had to keep working on it because they needed to understand what was wrong with their project. With an eye toward 2023, it wouldn't have made sense to stop working on the W13 without first figuring out what was making it so slow and nervous. In Brackley, they started looking for answers in Hungary. It would have made sense to think about 2023 at that point. But they kept working on it until Austin, when it was still not clear which way to go for the W14. Should they make a clean break with the W13 and follow ideas like Red Bull, or keep its main parts in terms of how it looks outside? Toto Wolff said recently that the W14 will keep a lot of the same DNA from the car before it. The main changes will be under the body in terms of how things are packed and under the floor. The floor will be changed in several areas, especially in the air tunnel and the back throat parts. Given these ideas, the side pod might look similar to the W13 with up and down openings at the front. But it looks like the back may be less pointed for two reasons. The first reason is about airflow. There will be a flat part at the level of the back suspension, making a T-shape at the back. This will make the airflow work better at the back by using the beam wing. The family connection between the 2023 race car and the one before it could be strong, but the back could be less pointed to help with more bottom stiffness and different airflow control at the back. If the sides stay small like on the W13, the up and down openings and bendable parts will stay. The second reason is about structure. The huge floor area at the bottom of the W13 was really bendy at the ends. To fix this, they made it thicker when they designed it, which made it heavier. This year's minimum weight has been cut to 796 kilograms, making it harder for teams to make their cars lighter. The gearbox will be much better than the one before, with a new layout of the important parts of the back suspension. At the power unit level, the smart people led by Hal Thomas are sure that the engine's power is as good as Honda and Ferrari. Working with Petronas, they've worked really hard to make the burning work better, while also making it use less fuel. This is thanks to a new fuel recipe. Will these changes bring Mercedes back to the top step of the winner's platform? To figure out if the W14 Mercedes car will be different from the 2022 car, we need to find out where they went wrong last year. So what exactly went wrong last year? Why were Mercedes so far behind? Mercedes got people's attention at the second practice test with the zero side pod idea on the W13. It seemed to work well during the first practice testing, but many people thought the team was hiding their real speed. The hard truth hit the team at the first race in Bahrain, when Hamilton was over a second slower than Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. The bad bouncing effect was the main reason Mercedes was slow early on. Mercedes used a fancy floor design, which made the car more sensitive to side winds and caused it to bounce a lot in high-speed turns. On several times, both Hamilton and George Russell looked really tired after races. The team tried some crazy fixes for the W13 early on in Bahrain and Jeddah, including lowering how high the car sits. But this made more drag and made their straight line speed problems worse. Chief Technical Officer James Allison said in their Bahrain review video that the team had to throw away basic speed to understand what turned out to be a basic problem with their floor design. We were caught out by it quite badly in the amount of bouncing on our car, especially when we put our first race upgrade on in the last winter test has been quite extreme, he said. We're starting to get it under control, but at the moment, we're having to throw away the basic performance on our car. When they got to Imola, both drivers admitted to needing to brake early because of the bouncing problems. It was finally discovered that it was having bad effects on the power unit. Though this had no effect on how reliable it was for the whole season, the team asked for rule changes for the next races, saying that the bouncing was dangerous, might cause crashes, and could have unknown effects on the health of its drivers because of the intense shaking in the cockpit. After talking with other teams and the FIA, the governing body agreed to raise the floor edges by 25 millimeters in 2023. Teams were told to make the floors stiffer to prevent any benefit from floor bending, while it wasn't the perfect performance boost Mercedes had hoped for. It was a step in the right direction, at least for Mercedes. The new rules wouldn't start right away, so Mercedes had to figure out another way to get more speed. To do that, Mercedes tried running the car with low downforce settings, which led to one of the worst weekends of the season. Both drivers complained about their troubles at the Belgian Grand Prix, pointing to problems in high-speed corners as something to worry about. MotoRSPORT strategy director James Vowles said in their post-spa review video that the team chose a rear wing layout that really hurt straight-line speed. For us, we tried a few solutions with the rear wing and decided for the one that we thought could save the tires the most. That ended up being the one that was the slowest in a straight line. Mercedes did much better in the next race in Zandvoort, where they were able to get the most downforce without giving up straight-line speed. According to trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin, this let them move the car into a better working window and give their drivers more confidence. In Zandvoort, the car was easier to get into the right window. It was riding well and wasn't bouncing over the bumps, he said after the Dutch GP. That gave the drivers confidence, and we've probably had our most competitive weekend all year. According to Toto Wolff, the W13 got the reputation of being a diva since the team often struggled to find the right setup during Friday practice sessions, especially in changing conditions. This would finally work itself out by the time they got to qualifying, but the consistency was still missing. At some courses, they performed worse than predicted, most notably in Singapore, where technical director Mike Elliott said that the track layout suited them best. It's a bumpy track and that will bring challenges, he said at the time. But the nature of the corners should fit better with our car. The conditions in qualifying made the problems on the car worse, according to Hamilton, making it another difficult weekend for them. I think our car, whatever the troubles that we have with it, it's made worse in the rain. It's a very, very hard car to drive in the rain, he said after the race. This showed that once again the W13 was a nervous and unpredictable car, but they were getting there. The team's big turning point came in the last quarter of the season, when they brought their final airflow changes. Hamilton said that the car was getting better and better by this point in the season. I really enjoyed driving around the track because the car is feeling better and better as we learn to understand it in more detail. He said at Mexico, these changes, together with the earlier floor makeover, put Mercedes back in the fight for race wins. Mercedes qualified within half a second of Red Bull in both races in Austin and Mexico, beating Ferrari on merit both times. However, poor tire selection in the weeks leading up to the race, according to Vowles, affected the racing strategy possibilities. This meant that the team had to wait until Brazil to see their efforts to fix the W13 rewarded with a Grand Prix and sprint win double at Interlagos. Even though the win came after a character-building season for them, the last race in Abu Dhabi showed that Mercedes is still not able to fight for wins at any time or in any place. According to George Russell, attempts to understand the W13 should result in better performance in 2023. Toto Wolff, on the other hand, said that one of Mercedes' worst performing cars in recent F1 history will have a special place in their museum. We can't wait to see that place. What do you think? Will Mercedes be able to overcome the nervous and unpredictable behavior of the W13, and can they transfer the good parts to their new challenger, the W14? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.